everyone. Welcome to Microsoft Dynamics AX for Finance Remote Training Day 2. I'm Ultrone Biga, and next 2 hours I will introduce you with Microsoft Dynamics AX for Finance Management functionality. So welcome. Welcome to Microsoft Dynamics AX for Financial 1, and we will cover Financial 2 first chapter. I am Ultrone Biga from Curious LTD from UK. My experience with product 6 years, and you see my specialization, and you see my email. And this is a map of United Kingdom. So you see the circle, pink circle, and a town window. I am now in this town. Things you need to know. You need to do your exercise by yourself. You need to read your manuals, and I'm waiting for your questions before Friday, 12 p.m. And I am waiting for your questions in with my email. Okay, agenda day 2. Questions answers. We will cover Chapter 7, Accounts Payable Setup, Accounts Payable Daily Procedures, Accounts Receivable Setup, Receivable Daily Procedures, Financial Statements, and Budgeting. Chapter 1, Budgeting, it will be Financial 2, part of Financial 2. I received some questions. First question is depends to Chapter 2, chart of account setup. So what is the difference with dimensionalization rules between table and list? The difference: if the rule table is active, user can assign only one dimension value, which is selected in the ledger account tab dimension in the dimension field. If the rule list is active, user can assign a few dimension values, which are selected in the dimension validation list. So difference, the biggest difference is that user can assign one or a few dimension values. So if you want system controlling only based on one dimension value, you need to set up the rule table. And if you want system control this a few dimension values, with a few concrete dimension values, you need to assign the rule list and to define those dimension lists in dimension list. On the chart of account button validation, you can find the list, and you need to define dimensions in this list. Question, Chapter 4, General Ledger Daily Procedures. What is the difference between to date and empty date using periodic journal retrieval process? So you always need date to date. This fields like mandatory fields. You don't need date, empty date in every retrieving process. So, empty date, if there is no date on the line in the periodic journal, you can enter the date to use for this purpose. If you do not enter a date in this field, the value in the to date field is used as the date on the periodic journal line. So you always need date to date, but field empty date you need not in every retrieving process. You can leave this field empty. Again, Chapter 4, General Ledger Daily Procedures. If part for a account statement in the manual shown is correct. The short answer, yes, the path is correct, only the name is incorrect. Instead, account statement is instead account statement, register a printing error, and you should see dimension statement. So the record name is dimension statement. Chapter 5, Sales Tax Setup. And there is a question from the exercise 5.4. Where can be set up the deadline for sales tax reporting? I show the picture. In this picture you see the field for terms of payment. So in this field you can set up the deadline for reporting purpose. And notice that this term of payment does not appear in any functionality. This is only for reporting purpose, only for information. Okay, so chapter 7, accounts payable setup. We have objectives. Our objectives are create a payment schedule, create terms of payment, payment days, cash discount, payment fees, methods of payment, set up vendor groups, set up posting profiles, create a new vendor. Okay, payment options. The payment options are global and are used in both accounts payable and accounts receivable modules. It means that you use the same way how to create payment schedule and terms of payment and payment days and other payment options for accounts payable and accounts receivable modules as well. And you can find the same payment options under the same folder setup, folder payment. And you can find in the accounts payable and in the accounts receivable modules as well. Payment schedules. You can use payment schedules to pay invoices in installments. The payment can be set amount and or specified number of payments wherein the amount owed is divided to create equal payments. And payment schedules can be attached to terms of payment as well. So the terms of payment determine the due date of the first installment. The due date of the following installment is calculated based on the information set up in the payment schedule form. You see information about terms of payment and payment days, and you can use a term of payment for calculation of the due date based on the date of the invoices. Use payment days to define the payment day. Used for calculation of due date. The due date is always rounded up to the nearest specified date. Payment day can be specified for a specific day in the week or for a specific day in the month. Cash discount. Cash discounts are earned if a company meets the vendor payment terms in time or given to customers when they pay their invoices within a specified period of time. Cash discounts are linked to the customer and vendor tables. They are applied to sales and purchase order. Usually we use cash discounts for customers. Payment fee. You can use payment fees to specify if there are any extra charges added to the vendor invoice, or define fee identification and specify bank relations and how to generate fees. Methods of payment. Many companies offer several methods of payment to pay invoices due, such as credit, cash in advance, bill of exchange, check and electronic payment, and so on. Shortly, methods of payment used when we generate our payment documents. And system generates payment documents based on document format. So first of all, we need to specify format for methods of payment, and system generates for us our payment documents. For example, cash or transfer. Okay, so let me show my Dynamics AS, and let me show payment options. Accounts payable module. Under folder setup, folder next folder payment, open folder payment, you see all payment options. So now we are going to create terms of payment, and we have exercise 7.1. I created for you terms of payment Z15. So enter new record. On the tab setup, you have payment method. You have net, current quarter, current year, current week, or COD, cash under delivery. So if you select net, as my exercise requires for me, system will calculate due date based. System always calculates due date based on invoice creation date. So invoice posting date. So if you have invoice posting date, for example, 20th of May, the due date will be 20 day plus 15. It means the 4th of June. So if I select current month, it means the due date will be on current month, day 15. The 15th, for example, of May. Current quarter, similar as current month, year, and current week. If you select COD and select option cash payment, in the field cash, you can select ledger account font as cash ledger account, for example, this one. And in the invoice posting process, system for you will generate voucher without customer or vendor debt ledger account. So you will see not the debt account but cash account on other side, and on another side you will see revenue and tax account, or for example receipts and tax account. And this invoice will be settled directly in the sales or purchase order. Okay, so my exercise asks me to create this payment method. I leave this method. I have my terms of payment, and you see that you can assign to terms of payment schedule, payment date, and you can mix these payment options, and as a result you can have very interesting terms of payment, and in this way you can set sometimes a very complicated terms of payment. Cash discount. We have exercise 7.2 with cash discount, and I created for you this cash discount 74. So under setup, I have the same method as time of payment as payment method. So net, current month, or COD. So I ask the system to calculate for me 7 days after posting, after invoice posting, and calculate for me 4%. And I need to set a ledger account for account allowed and account received. In this field, next, I can assign another cash discount and another day interval. Payment schedule. Under tab General, you see various allocation settings. On the payment line, you can allocate by percent your debt. Payment date. Under payment date line tab, you can set your payment date. For example, 20th of month or Monday. So system will calculate the due date to the earliest 20th day of month or to the earliest Monday. Delete record. Payment fee. You can set your payment fee. Method of payment. I have the same exercise 7.2, and we have method of payment CCD, SCD, special cash discount. So I created enter a record, method of payment unique code. In the field period, we have invoice, date, week, or total. So if I select invoice, the payment proposal system for me will generate all open invoices separately, date, by number, and will not summarize for me my open invoices. If I select date, system for me in the payment proposal, if I use this method of payment, will summarize all my invoices by due date. So if I select week, system for me will summarize by due week. If total, system will summarize all my open invoices to one total account. Now I leave period option invoice, my description. Date of grace I leave 0. Payment status. I don't need any payment status for posting control. Account type bank. I selected account type bank for default account type in my payment journal. Payment account, bank account. I select my bank account for my default bank account in my payment journal. Bank transaction type and fee account for payment fee. Under tab file format, I select export format for my payment document. So system, when you generate your payment document, system searches payment format in this field. If I need more payment formats, I click button setup and select available payment format. Under payment control, you can define some payment options, and system will control your payment journal. For example, payment reference is mandatory or payment note is mandatory. You can see payment attributes. Under button payment specification, you can specify additional export formats And in the payment journal, if you use one or another payment specification, you have a possibility for the same method of payment generate different payment documents. Okay, so I go back to my presentation file. Vendor groups. Vendor groups are primarily used for setting up the ledger posting. Ledger postings can be set up for table, group, and all. A specific posting profile can be assigned to the group. Setup is used for cash flow management. So the most vendor groups, the most used for setting up ledger postings. You see posting profile, you can set table restrictions and posting on accounts payable. We have vendor parameters, and in the vendor parameters you can define default setup, and most else will be covered in the trade and logistics training. And vendor related to posting, cash flow forecast, and settlement. And vendor setup, vendor table. The mandatory fields for vendor are group, currency, language, and optional and recommended to set up for vendor sales tax, term of payment, methods, bank account, payment settings, and other information. And this information will appear on sales and purchase order and on payment journal. So let me show on my Dynamics AS. Accounts payable module. Under folder setup, you see the form vendor groups, and we have exercise 7.3. I created for you vendor group setting, description cash vendors for the description. I can assign terms of payment, settle period, and all this information will appear to the particular vendor to which we will assign this group. Click button setup, and you see inventory postings. You can, for every inventory transaction in the purchase order, you can define ledger account for particular vendor group. Posting profile. In the posting profile, you set up summary account or just account for vendor. So we have exercise 7.4. I created the posting profile ELD, cash and delivery profile. Under tab table restriction, you can restrict settlements or cancel. Under tab setup, you define the summary account or just account for vendor group or vendor or all. So you see, you create the record and you can select account type. If you select table, system for you shows all vendor lists. You can select vendor, and for this particular vendor, for example, for this, in field summary account, you define the account for this particular vendor debt. And then in your transaction, in your sales orders or journal, you will use this posting profile and this particular vendor, and for example, system will generate for this vendor this debt account. So summary account is mandatory account for vendor transaction. Settle account, this account is used in cash flow management. I will delete this record. We have arrival and offset accounts. Those two ledger accounts we use in our invoice journal for incoming invoice registering. So this is for daily transactions, for cash flow management. This is for incoming invoice registering. Okay. We have accounts payable parameters form. Under tab General, we set up general settings, default values, for example, for purchase order, return action default value, purchase pool, one-time vendor account, and other. Under tab Update, we set up accept on delivery or over delivery. We set up all update information for parking slip and invoice. Under summary update, we set up settings for summary update. You know that you can update several purchase orders to one invoice or one parking slip. So in this under this tab, you set up settings for summary update. Under legend sales tax, you set up default posting profile. This posting profile is used as default posting profile in journals and purchase order. You can change if it is necessary. Primary receipt, primary discount. You set up sales tax, posting profile with prepayment. You set up cash flow forecast settings. Under promissory notes, you set up promissory notes settings, credit rating, settlement. You can use automatic settlement. If you set up option automatic settlement, so it means that you use automatic settlement, and system will settle the ELS invoice with ELS payment. So cash discount administration, maximum payment difference, overpayment and underpayment, price discount settings, inventory dimensions. You can set up which inventory dimensions you can see as default in purchase order and number sequence. You see vendor account, my vendor account has number sequence. It means that every time when I create vendor account, system for me suggests number for this vendor account. But I can, if I would not set up this number sequence for vendor account, I can create vendor account unique codes manually. Okay, so accounts payable module, vendors. We have vendor table. Enter new record. We have exercise 7.5 vendors. I created for you vendor. This is my vendor account. This is name, search name, invoice account. You can select another vendor for invoice account, and this means that all financial information, invoices and payments goes to this vendor account, and all inventory transactions goes this reference of this vendor account. So in this way you can set up that in this field, in invoice account field, you can select your supplier headquarters, and this vendor account is like subsidiary, like supplier subsidiary for vendor account 3000. And usually you receive items from this account, and after that you post your invoice and payment for this account. Okay, so vendor group, you need to define vendor group. This is mandatory field. Currency, this is mandatory field as well. This is default currency. You can post transactions with different currencies, but you need to select at least one currency as default currency. Under tab General, you can set additional settings. You can set up additional parameters. You can stop your vendor. You can select buyer group. You can attach customer account. So it means that sometimes you receive from the same company items and you deliver to the same company items. So this company sometimes like vendor, sometimes like customer. So in this case you need to create two records. One record in vendor table as vendor account, and another record in customer table as customer account. And in this field you map these two records. And when you create reimbursement, system searches value in this field and transfer amount for reimbursement to this vendor, from customer to this vendor. Under setup tab, you set up sales tax group in this field, organization number, other related information, delivery terms, mode of delivery, destination code. Under tab purchase order, you set up information which is related to this purchase order, warehouse, from warehouse for item receiving, miscellaneous charges group, item vendor, purchase pool, and this multi-line discount, total discount, and these values are as default, and in the purchase order you can system updates values in the purchase order from those fields. Under tab address you can set up main vendor address, and if you need alternative address for delivering purpose or another purpose, you can set up under button setup alternative address. Under tab contact information, you can set contact information. Under tab payment, you can set up terms of payment, methods of payment, and other bank account, default setting bank account. Under tab, under button setup, you need to create your new bank account for vendor, and after that you can assign this bank account. All these payment information appears in payment journal. On the tab dimension, you can set dimensions for vendor transaction. So all these dimensions appears in purchase orders and journals as default, and it depends on dimension validation rules. You can change or no. Okay, let me show another vendor account. I select another vendor account, and you see lots of buttons on the right side. You can see transactions. So under this button, you can review all transactions related to this particular vendor. You see voucher, you see date, invoice number or payment, remittance number, amount currency, balance. In amount currency, you see currency with original. You see amount with original currency. This is original currency. In balance column, you see all open transactions. It means that if you see 0, it means this transaction is closed. This payment or this invoice. So you can use option show open only, and you see open transaction. Balance. You can review balance with different currencies, and this means total amount in main company currency. You can set up alternative address, contact person, bank accounts, and some other information, trade agreements, functions you use this button when you want to open transaction or close inquiry. You see all related sales orders and documents in this particular vendor. Forecast, you can create your purchase forecast. Okay, so I go back to my presentation file. Next chapter is chapter 8, Accounts Payable Daily Procedures. We have some objectives, explain the difference in invoice journals, register an invoice journal, approve an invoice register journal, create an invoice excluding posting, create an invoice journal, payment proposal, mark for settlement, create a payment journal, generate a payment, edit open transaction, reverse close transaction, accounts payable reports, and inquiries. Invoice journals in accounts payable. The procedure for handling invoice varies from company to company, depending on the company size, structure, and organization. Typically, the invoices are registered, approved, and paid. The different invoices available on invoice or register, invoice approval journal, invoice pool excluding posting, invoice journal. So we have some situation and some ways how we can use our invoice journals. One of those situations. Invoice register and invoice approval journal handling. The example how company may handle incoming invoices with invoice approval journal. For example, employee A in the accounting department registers the incoming invoice in the invoice register and posts the registration. Employee A sends the physical invoice to person B for approval. Employee B approves the invoice with a signature or a stamp and returns the invoice to person A in the accounting department. Employee A registers and posts the approval in the invoice approval journal. Now the invoice is ready to be paid. So let me show this situation in my Dynamics AS form. Now I'm going to show the usage of two journals in accounts payable module under tab journal, under tab invoices. We will talk about invoice register and invoice approval journal, about those two journals. First of all, invoice register. We have the exercise (8.1). I have already posted those journals. So you create journal. After that, click line, button line, and simply select date, account, vendor, account, invoice number. I filled the invoice number 124 because I used 123 in exercise 7.2. Transaction text, amount in credit field. After that, in the approved by field, you need to select the employee for approving, then button validate and button post. So you post it. The registration action. After that, go open invoice approval journal. Create journal. I have already created. Click button line and click button fetch vouchers. So you see the line, the record from invoice register. Vendor account, invoice number, transaction text, approved by. This is employee unique code. So if you if you agree this record, click button select and button OK. You see in the header your invoice, and in the line you need to fill field for your receipt. So in this exercise, I need to fill ledger account 601,500 because this is my expenses. After that, I need to validate and post. If I don't agree with those records, I can remove vouchers. So I don't agree. Okay, so I go back to my presentation file. And we will review next situation: invoice pool excluding posting and invoice journal handling. The example: how company may handle incoming invoices with invoice pool excluding posting and invoice journal. For example, employee A in the account department registers the incoming invoice in the journal invoice pool excluding posting. Employee A sends the invoice to person B for approval. Employee B approves the invoice with a signature or a stamp and returns the invoice to person A. In the accounting department, employee A creates a new invoice journal, uses the function button to fetch the invoice from the invoice pool and post the journal. Now the invoice is ready to be paid. So let me show in my Dynamics AS this situation. Now we will talk about under the same folder invoices. We will talk about invoice pool excluding posting journal and invoice journal. So about invoice pool excluding posting and invoice journal. First of all, open invoice pool excluding postings. We have exercise 8.2. Create a new record. Select the date. I created for you a record. Selected the date, vendor account, transaction text. I filled the amount in the credit field, invoice number, system for me calculated due date, and close the form. Next step is open invoice journal. I already created for you this journal. Button line, click button line. After that, click button function and menu invoice pool excluding posting. So system for you shows all records which are created in the invoice pool excluding posting form. You can select one, or you can use button shift and arrow down, or arrow up, and you can select all necessary records for accepting. Accept. Now I have 2 records. If I agree with those records, I can simply post. Approve and post. Okay. I go back to my presentation file. Next situation, invoice journal handling. The example how company may handle incoming invoices only with invoice journal. So simply employee A enters the invoice directly into a new invoice journal through and post the journal. And now the invoice is ready to be paid. So let me show this simple situation. Now I will talk about invoice journal, about one invoice journal. So employee can directly open the form, create a new journal, button client, enter date, enter account type vendor, vendor account, invoice number, transaction text, credit, offset account, and offset. After that, employee can approve and post. Okay, I go back to my presentation file. You see the picture with accounts payable record maintenance. So It means that if you have open transactions, you need to match this in open transactions. Editing, it means invoice and payment match. So we have invoice, we have payment, and it needs to settle invoice with payment. So let me show payment journal. There are some ways for settlement. So one way is automatic settlement, and in the parameters we can use this option. If we don't use automatically settlement, we can settle in the payment journal, open account payable, in the account payable module, under folder journal, and open folder payment, and open form payment journal. I have my payment journal. I create for you a new payment journal. So you have some additional ways for settlement. You can use this way, or you can settle after payment journal posting all open transactions directly in vendor table. So now I'm going to show manually simple entry in the payment channel without settlement. So you select the date, you select a vendor account, transaction text, amount, offset account, bank, and bank. And now you see that in the settlement type, you see that this entry is not marked for settlement. Value is none. So it means that if I post this payment journal, system will generate open transaction, and after that I will be able to close this transaction directly in the vendor table. Okay, another way, I create manually. I leave empty debit and credit fields, and I use under button function, I use function settlement. It means I mark invoices for settlement. System for me transfers total amount in debit field, and in the settlement type field you see another value, and this means that this transaction is marked for settlement. And if you can review this transaction marked or not directly in the vendor table. So if you select this vendor, then button function, open transaction editing, you can see two red hands. So this means that these two transactions are marked, and another user is not able to select the same transaction for settlement marking. Only after journal posting, these two transactions will be able for marking if they will not be settled in full, or if they will be settled in full, they will disappear. So if you want to review, for example, you see transaction with a red hand. You can use button Inquire, Specifications. You can select Journal and you see the record. And you can open journal form, and system for you will show the journal in which this record is marked. So you can track your marked settlement. You can find in purchase and payment proposal marked records. So now you have marked records in journal. Okay, close this form, go back to payment journal. This is next way for settlement. I will delete. Finally, you can use payment proposal. Payment proposal searches for payment lines that are either due or have a maximum date for receiving a cash discount. The payment proposal function checks vendor transactions that are open and approved. All the transactions with either a due date or cash discount date are included in the search. As soon as the payment lines are generated, edit them in the payment journal. So, click button Payment Proposal, create menu, Create Payment Proposal. In the proposal type, you can range your open transactions per due date or cash discount. I select due date and cash discount. Generate, you can, this option means that you want to generate the payment proposal. You can set amount limit for payment proposal, and system will not generate any payment of proposal payment after amount limit. You can set transaction limit, delete negative payments. In this case, it means will not generate the payments which are open. I'm going to generate until this day. You can range by payment currency. You can select check balance, so it means that the system will not generate up your balance control. You can select your vendor account or some account. In this case, I select my vendor account 3000. Click button payment, and you can reorder grouping by account or bank, subtotal by method of payment or by currency, and payment invoice. You can arrange your vendors, bank accounts. Okay. Click button OK, and system for you generates payment journal, payment proposal. So you see header and you see lines. Payment proposal lines, and in the header for your system explore your lines. So you can transfer your payment proposal to payment journal. You can multiple change, you can review balance control of payment distribution. So I transfer my line. I have my line. And you see settlement type. This means that these transactions are ready for settlement, and after posting, they will be settled. After generating, click button Functions and Generate Payment. So system, based on your method of payment format, will generate payment documents for you. Okay, now let me show in vendor table directly for vendor functions, open and close transaction editing. So open transaction editing. Okay, I see all transactions marked for settlement. I audit my settled transactions, and I see that these transactions are settled in the journal. In this journal, okay, so now I'm going unmarked. I have my line. I delete my line. Go back to my vendor. Click button Functions. Click menu Open Transaction Editing. And I have my transactions unmarked. So now I am going to show how can I settle my transaction manually directly in vendor table. I have payment and I have invoice. So I simply mark this payment, this invoice. You see balance in this field, and I select button Update. You see that invoice was settled not full because payment was less than invoice. Okay. After that, I can review this settlement under button Functions, Close Transaction Editing. You see payment, you see invoice, invoice number. If I click button Inquire History, I can review settlement history. Under tab Transactions, I see my date, voucher, invoice. So I can review my payment transaction, which payment transaction is related with which invoice transaction. If I don't agree with this particular settlement, I can select one of settlement type, for example, invoice, and system for me marks relevant settlement transactions. After that, I can click button Reverse, and system for me reverse settlement, and this transaction disappears. Under Functions, Open Transaction Editing, I see again my payment and my invoice. Okay, I go back to my presentation file. Account account table reports and inquiry. So you can use standard sorting and ranges and sorting options. You can use standard reports and auto reports in accounts payable module as well as in the general ledger or bank module. So next chapter is 9, accounts receivable setup, and we only cover what differs from the vendor. Setup payment options, they are global, so it means that we set up for vendors and customers payment options in the same way and under the same folder setup and under the same folder payment. Customer group, similar to vendor, posting profiles and customer table differs from vendor. Parameters similar to vendor. Okay, so posting profiles. You can define collection, letter, sequence, and interest codes in the customer posting profile. So collection letters we use for collection letters generating and interest codes for interest code calculation. Credit limit. Usually we use credit limit for customers. Okay, so let me show my dynamic AX form. Open the account receivable module. Under folder setup, open form posting profiles. We have exercise 9 form. I created for you posting profile. Promotion. So under tab setup, you define account type, table, group, or all table. It means single customer, group, customer group. I selected group. After that, in the account group number, you select single customer or customer group. Summary account, this ledger account is used for customer debt. So it is mandatory to define this account, because if you want to post invoice in the sales order or pre-tax invoice form, or you want to post your record in the journal, you need this ledger account for customer debt. System searches in this field summary account. Setup account is used for cash flow management. And we have 2 additional fields, collection letter sequence and interest code. In this field, you can assign collection letter sequence for collection letter generating and for interest code calculation. Okay, now customer. Account receivable module, customer table. So you see similar fields like in vendor table: unique code, name, search name, invoice account, customer group, currency. Under tab general, you can see additional fields: mandatory credit limits, credit rating, credit limits. And you can enter in the credit limit field the maximum outstanding amount allowed in the balance of a customer's account. This amount is always stated in the default currency. And notice that in the accounts receivable module, in the parameters, on the tab credit rating, you have 4 fields which are related with field credit limit. So system calculates credit limits depends on this option, balance plus balance and parking slip, or balance and all. It means the sales orders and entries in journal. So in sales order, system controls credit limit depends on option in this field, non-header or header and line. How system needs to control in free text invoice credit limit? It depends on option in check credit limit in free text invoice field. And if you want warning or error, you need to select option in message when exceeding credit limit field. So warning or error. Okay. I go back to my presentation file. Next chapter is chapter 10, Accounts Receivable Daily Procedures. We only cover what differs from the vendor. So how to create a free text invoice, reimburse a customer, free text invoice. So normal if you create in the purchase or sales order invoice, you use inventory and customer or vendor. For example, in the sales order, you create a sales order for customer and you assign customer an item. You can post your confirmation document, packing slip, invoice document, and when selling, normally reducing inventory. And in the free text, you have no any connection to inventory. You cannot post the packing slip or confirmation document or sales order document. You can use free text invoice for selling old office equipment or selling other assets not registered in the inventory. Accounts receivable record maintenance. So the rules are the same as for vendors. Open transaction editing is equal matching invoice with payment. You see reimbursement. So working with the reimbursement feature, you can use the reimbursement feature to repay customers who have credit amount because of overpayment or credit notes. The reimbursement feature transfers the balance to a vendor account. The vendor account is set up in the customer form. Otherwise, one-time vendor account is created. When the balance amount is transferred to a vendor account, the accounts receivable administrator can create an ordinary payment. So let me show my dynamic AX form. Let me show free text invoice and customer reimbursement. We have exercise then 1. In the accounts receivable module, open the form free tax invoice. I have already created for you free tax invoice. Create a new record, and in the tab Invoice, Address, Payment and Dimension, system updates values from selected customer table. Open tab Invoice Lines and simply create a new record. In the field description field, the invoice description, and this description will appear in your invoice document. In the field Ledger Account, you can I filled my ledger account for revenue, sales tax group, item sales tax group, amount. This amount is the revenue amount before taxes. If dimensions for invoice lines differ from header dimensions, you can change dimensions under tab Dimension Invoice Line. Before posting, you can review your invoice total. If you are ready to post, click button Posting and use free tax invoice menu. Okay, now reimbursement. Use under periodic filter, open the form reimbursement. You simply select the customer, then after that button OK, and System for You creates reimbursement transaction. System transfers balance to vendor. Let me show to which one. So I selected the customer 4006 and System transfers to vendor account 3003 balance, which is overpayment. And how system calculates this balance? It depends on account receivable parameters. Under folder Setup, you can find parameters Form, and under tab General, you have field minimum reimbursement, and in this field you select the amount for minimum reimbursement, and based on that amount system calculates reimbursement for customers. I go back to my presentation file. Account receivable report and inquiries. So you can use all standard sorting and ranging options in accounts receivable module as well. You can use standard reports and auto reports. Okay, next our chapter is chapter 12, financial statements. We have objectives, create a dimension focus, create a row definition, design the structure of row definition, create a column definition, and create a financial statement, print a financial statement, and as additionally we have objectives, create and print a dimension statement, and display balance by dimension. So, financial statement. when you create your financial statement, you need to follow these steps. Set up alternative statement rule, ledger account, or financial dimension. Set up the statement columns. Attach row definition to columns based on same dimension focus. So it means create a financial statement. Dimension focus. The dimension focus combines dimensions and ledger accounts. For example, one focus can view ledger accounts, departments, and purpose. Another focus can view departments and ledger accounts. And use the dimension focuses to, for example, view balance statements based on multiple dimensions and ledger accounts. Row definition and structure designer. Use a row definition in the financial statement to present financial figures by dimension, ledger account, or a combination of the two. And the row structure designer maps dimension values and ledger accounts in user-defined rows. Financial statement column definition. Create columns for financial statement, and column types are name, focus, code, or definition name. So it means identification or name of the main focus, account number, dimension, or combination. Secondary focus code or name, so it means identification or name of the secondary focus, account number, dimension, or combination. Release figures, quantity, currency. So it means that you can display current budget of cash flow figures, quantity, or currency. 100%. So you can define in column structure based on selected ledger account structure for res dimension or ledger account. Calculation. You can calculate 2 or more columns and review the results in selected column. Secondary currency. Current release figures that are converted to secondary currency and are independent of the original currency. Okay, so let me show financial statements in my dimension AX4. We have the exercise 12.1. Open General Ledger module. Under folder Setup, set of all base dimension focus. Under folder Financial Statements, open Form Dimension Focuses. I created for you focus, new focus, description new focus. Under tab Dimensions, I selected my dimensions, ledger, account, and cost center. So I created a small hierarchy, and ledger account is in the first level and cost center in the second. So it means that my ledger account will be split in cost centers, with cost centers. Next, row definition. I created my row definition and assigned new focus. So after that, when I selected my focus, under button structure designer, system for me shows dimensions which are related with focus. So it means that if I focus new focus, if you remember, I selected ledger account and cost center. So system now for me shows only ledger account and only cost center. If I have another focus, with, for example, department and purpose, and I select this focus, system for me should show only department and only purpose. So now I have ledger account and cost center, and I need simple drag and drop my ledger and ledger account and cost center. So let me show, for example, ledger account. Yes. So this is header. Cost center. Oh, this is header again. So, you see that you can assign ledger, account, this type, header, balance, and header means the system only will print header, and you cannot split your ledger account with non-transaction side. You can split only the transaction side. Okay, so I can delete my notes because they are not necessary for me. Okay, I have my ledger account, production work center cost, and production work center. This cost center I can check and simulate, and I see that system for me system for me splitted my ledger account into cost centers, and for me is going to show my totals. Okay, I close my structure designer. After that, I open my financial statement. Under folder financial statement, I created new financial statement description and assign focus new focus. So under tab setup, system for me in the field row definition shows only that row definition which has the same main focus. So main focus is like mapping option. If I select another main focus, system for me would show another row definition which has another main focus. In the header, I create financial statement record. In the line, I create columns, so it's a little bit confused that I need to imagine that my lines are my columns. So first column is main focus code. You see a lot of column types. I select main focus code. For second column, I select current. So I'm going to review release figures. You can review, you can select budget or budget quantity or currency or 100. Under tab setup, I can select my date interval code or from date to date. So this date will be as default for my financial statements, but I am able to change this date on the printing dialog box. Transactions. I can define the company in the same application for this column, so I can review different figures which belongs to different companies. So one column I can review, for example, this company in another column, this company in third column, this company. If I leave this field empty, system for me shows my that company figures in which company I created financial statement. I can define my transaction from opening period or only normal or closing. So normal means daily transactions, opening and closing. System generates in opening or closing period transaction in the fiscal year closing function. Posting layer. I can define the layer for column, so current, operation, or tax. I can define amount size, which I want to see only debit amount or only credit. Budget model. If my column size is budget in this field, I define budget model. So column type defines which fields are active and which are not. Okay, I close this form. I'm going to print my financial statement. So in the general ledger module, under folder reports, under folder transactions, go to the folder periodic and open financial statement form. I select my new financial statement. I can select end date, and this date will override my date selected in column. Under tab columns, I can review my column and I can change my date if it is necessary. Under tab setup, I can select additional settings, for example, skip zero or cover page, print line type, header, transaction, or not to print, print range, or not to print. I can range a ledger account and button OK. So I have my financial statement. Okay. I go back to my presentation file. You see picture, dimension statement. The dimension statement is based on dimension focuses that combine dimensions in a ledger account, and you can run dimension statements to analyze transactions from general ledger transactions, budget transactions, or cash flow forecast transactions. Create dimension statements on a single focus or combine several focus for a more detailed report. Okay, so let me show in my Dynamics AS dimension statement. You can find your dimension statement in the chart of account, select account type for transactions and button account statement, but this means the dimension statement. System for you shows all transactions related with particular ledger account. So You can select transactions, ledger transaction, budget, or cash flow transactions, main focus, and change main focus, secondary focus. For example, this one, from date to date, you can change. For example, this one. You can review the mentioned statement information based on your specification. For example, posting on summarized by day, summarized by week or month, for example, by week. And you can select posting layer. You can review your transaction in current operation or past. So, okay. So it seems that there are no any transactions with dimensions, those dimensions. So transactions are without dimension. Okay, you can review dimension statements for all ledger accounts in the general ledger module under folder report, under folder transactions, open dimension statement form. And you can see the same dialog box dimensions or dimension statements. Balance by dimension. It is now possible to view the balance figure for department by ledger account, dimensions, or combination of two. And the balance by dimension form prevents viewing dimension types from where the inquiry originates. So, for example, in the general ledger module, select form dimension. For example, department, dimension department, and click button balance, and you can review balance. For example, department balance by focus, by account. Okay. I go back to my presentation file. Next and last, our chapter is chapter 1, budgeting. Now we will begin financial 2. So we have the objectives: create budget models and submodels, create period allocation keys, enter budget dates, generate and print budgets, additional budgeting functionality, copy and modify budgets, view budget dates. So first of all, if you want to use budget functionality, you need to create models. For example, GPM company has 3 budget models: total model, Midland, and East Coast. And total model has 2 submodels: ledger East model and ledger West model. Period allocation key. Microsoft Dynamics AS4 provides 2 main period allocation keys, which are used to streamline the process by enabling forward duplication of data throughout the whole budgeting time frame. Period allocation keys enable replication of the selected budget line throughout the module within a specified date range, together with a defined period allocation percentage They are used to divide an annual amount as a straight line percentage across a year, or to adjust that amount to account for seasonality. They are used for budgeting or setting up seasonal fluctuations. Enter budget. Budget, you have several ways for budget creating in Dynamics AX. So a ledger budget, you can assign to ledger account, vendors or vendor group purchase, forecast, transfer to ledger budget, customers or customer group sales forecast transfer to ledger budget, fixed asset depreciation budget transfer to ledger budget. So budget handling picture. You see the single budget settings are budget model or sub-model. If it is necessary, you can assign period allocation key. So it is necessary to specify specific options for budget. Enter budget data manually or transfer data from a ledger account balances to a budget, or you can transfer data from sales or purchase forecast or budget, or you can transfer data from fixed asset depreciation budget to a budget. Good idea to simulate budget, and for simulating you can use allocation budget parameters and settlement terms parameters. After that, you can view posted transactions for ledger accounts. You can view budget balances by period. You can view cash flow forecasts. You can view statistics. You can print budget, and you can edit budget. You can copy, update, or delete. Let me show in my Dynamics AX form budget handling feature. Okay, so we have exercise 1.1, create a budget model and sub-model. Open general ledger module, the form for ledger budget, create a new record. I have already my budget model, so now let me show how to create a budget model. In the general ledger, under tab Setup, open Form Budget Model and enter New Record. I already created two records, new budget model and a new sub-model. For a record new budget model, under tab sub-model, I assign another model as sub-model. There are period allocation keys in the general ledger module, under folder setup, under folder period. Open the form period allocation keys, and you see period allocation keys. So click button lines, and you can review. You can review periods with different allocation percentage. You can define those periods with dates, months, or years. Okay, so go back to General Ledger Module, Ledger Budget Form, and I have already created a budget for ledger account. So in the model field select budget model in the ledger account. Select ledger account, and then date, start date, comment, currency, budget currency, and amount. And under tab General, you can define additional settings. You see fields, quantity, and price. You can use those fields if you want to create budget, for example, for selling amount. For example, you are going to sell 1,000 quantity, and one price for one quantity will be 88. So system for you calculates amount, total amount, and in the field method you can select your allocation method, none, period, or K. If you select none, system will create budget depending on your financial period. For example, and depending on your fiscal year. If you select period, you can define your period. For example, 88,000 you want to budget for 1 month, and you want to finish in the end of 2060 year. This is another way for allocation. And you can use your period allocation scheme. For example, this one. System will allocate all amounts 88 depends on allocation percentage. Under tab Setup, you can system by default select option Access. If you can deactivate this budget, and after that system will not calculate this budget. If you are going to use this budget in your cash flow forecast functionality, you need to set up option Cash Flow Forecast. Under tab Dimension, you can define your dimension values for budget. Okay, so we have our budget. On the right side, you see a lot of buttons. So under button transactions, you can review all transactions which are related with a ledger account 6604100. In this case, we have no any transactions. Period balances, you can review release figures, release period balances with this particular ledger account 6604100. Budget balances, you can review allocated budget balance. And this allocation is done depends on, as you remember, period allocation scheme. Setup, you can define allocation terms and settlement terms for budget simulation. After that, you can simulate your budget, and system will recalculate your budget depends on allocation terms and settlement terms. You can create a new period allocation case, and you can set cash flow forecast. So how this budget will be involved in cash flow forecast functionality. We will cover this later on next session. You can edit this particular budget. You can copy, update, or delete. So if you are going to copy, you can change model, you can change account selection or dimension. And In this case, you need to select a new budget model, a new ledger account, and new department. If you are not going to change, for example, ledger account or dimension on the model, you can select only one option. And you need to set how much days or months or years you are going to change. And system will calculate days, months, or years depends on start date. And you can copy this factor one, for example, increase twice and plus 100. And after that, click OK. Transfer balances. So you can transfer balances from released figures from transactions to selected budget model. You can change quantity, you can change days, months, or years, transaction text. You can use factor. You can define your minimum, round off, and you can set if you want, if you are going to use dimension which were used in history or no, cancel. Button simulation. You can simulate your budget based on your allocation terms and settlement terms. You can, if your budget is active for cash flow functionality, and this budget was involved in cash flow forecast functionality, and this button cash flow forecast, you can review your budget cash flow transactions. And set statistics based on statistic intervals, for example. You can review your statistics data. As additional functionality, in the dynamic sphere, system suggests to transfer sales and purchase forecast and fixed asset depreciation amount. So if you are going to transfer sales or purchase forecast, you need to go to inventory management on the tab periodic, then go to the tab forecast and to the tab update. You can find two functions: purchase budget to ledger and sales budget to ledger. If you select one of them, you need to select budget model. And what are you going to transfer? Sales orders, consumption, and delete, if you want delete previously transferred or no. System based on customer posting options, posting to inventory posting options, will transfer sales forecast to related ledger account. And in the general ledger, journal, fixed asset budget journal, you can create a journal for fixed asset depreciation amount or acquisition amount and transfer those amounts to a ledger budget. And based on fixed asset item posting options, system will transfer to related ledger account. You can review your budget in the ledger budget form, all budgets, and in the chart of accounts. You can review ledger budget for particular ledger account on the button ledger budget, or you can create a ledger budget for particular ledger account, and this budget will appear in ledger budget form. I go back to my presentation file. Summary, day 2. We covered questions, answers. We covered chapter 7, accounts payable setup, accounts payable daily procedures, receivable setup, accounts receivable daily procedures, financial statements, and budgeting. I expect you to do your exercise and to read your manuals because there's a lot of answers you can find in your exercise and your manual. Let me show successive agenda. Next Tuesday we will cover financials to chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So cash flow management, multi-currency, advance payment, intercompany accounting, consolidation, collection letters and interest, dimensions hierarchy, XBRL taxonomy, year and close. I suggest you to review manuals and exercise which are related with successive agenda with those chapters, because next time I'm going to show the most difficult exercise which are related with those chapters, and maybe you will find a lot of answers to your questions. Okay, so things you need to know: exercise, self-study. I wait in your questions before Friday 12 p.m. and time is shown based on GMT. You see my email. Okay, so let me say thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. See you next time, and I'm going to say to you, to everyone, bye. Hannah, are you here?
Yes, Audron, I'm here. Well, I'd like to finish this meeting by telling you that you will receive a recording, as usual, from this live meeting. And if, like Audron mentioned, you can send all your questions to her. And should you have any question in regards to the RTP training, you can email me at DHOANA. I'm sorry, my email address. You all know my email address, to which you can email your questions to in regards to the RTP if you have any questions to your link. And I'd like to welcome you tomorrow to the last session of this week, the Trade and Logistics. Have a nice evening.